What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Too Pop to Handle. I'm your host, Andrew Nucatola, your pop culture best friend, and as always, I hope you guys are having a fabulous week. I'm going to be completely transparent with you guys. I just recorded for 45 minutes, and for some reason, my computer stopped recording and deleted everything I recorded. So I have recorded this episode halfway through already. We are going to take it from the top, but yeah, feeling, feeling a little annoyed, but it is what it is. I am still going to bring you, the fun, bubbly energy that I like to bring you guys every single week. We're going to just skip over my intro. I am sorry if this is your first episode listening. We're going to just get right into it because I just recorded for 40 minutes and I lost all of it. So if this is your first time listening, I apologize that I'm not making the best first impression, but you know what? That is show business, baby. Pretty much all I said during my intro in the last episode was that I went to Din Tai Fung over the weekend. Get the chocolate dumplings if you get to go. Smash on Broadway is going to change my life. And Pumpkin Spice is back at Dunkin' tomorrow. So if you are listening to this on release day, August 28th, Pumpkin Spice is back. I am excited. And we're going to get on with the show. I apologize, but I just recorded for quite some time and I was almost done. And we're just going to get right into it. So that being said, let's hop into our moments from the week that were too pop to handle for a second time. First things first, we are getting some more VMA updates. So a few episodes ago, we went through all the nominations, all the performers that were announced. They have announced the host, they've announced the video vanguard, they've announced the performers. Let's get into it. So none other than Megan Thee Stallion is hosting the VMAs this year, and I personally cannot wait. I love Megan Thee Stallion so much. I think she is hilarious. I think she is beautiful. I think she is stunning. I think she is so talented. And I think she is going to be such a killer host for this year's VMAs. I cannot wait. And on top of that, Katy Perry is getting the Video Vanguard Award, which I am so excited about. I understand, she's not the public's favorite right now. She is not everyone's loving her, and I can understand that. But just thinking of what a Video Vanguard performance entails and thinking about the hits she is going to bring out for this performance, I cannot wait. Like just thinking about Beyonce's performance, Shakira when she did it, Rihanna, like all of these Video Vanguard Awards are always killer trips down memory lane, and Katy Perry has hits on hits on hits. I cannot wait for this performance. It is going to be incredible. And on top of performances that I cannot wait for, we got a long list of people who will be performing this year on top of the people who were already announced. So like Chappell, Sabrina, Halsey's on this list. I'm getting ahead of myself because I'm repeating myself, but it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's okay. But yeah, so performers on top of the original list, they have now released that Lisa will be performing, Benson Boone, Halsey, Lenny Kravitz, Anita, Karol G, LL Cool J, and Shawn Mendes, which Shawn Mendes, Sabrina Carpenter, and Camila Cabello will all be performing at the VMAs together. If you do not understand the importance and like the lore behind that, we're going to get into it in just a moment. But I'm very excited to see, what transpires while the three of them are all on the same stage that night. Very excited for the VMAs this year. They are coming up very, very fast. September 11th, they are coming up. I want to say it's in like 2 weeks from today if you're listening to this on release day, which is crazy to think about. This year is flying by. But that being said, if you are interested in voting for the VMAs, you can always head over to their website. Lots and lots of really, stiff competition this year. So I'm excited to see who takes it home. Excited to see the performances people pull out. I feel like it's going to be a really good VMA. I don't know. I'm just having a good feeling about it. And I am very excited for the VMAs. Speaking of the VMAs, people who are performing there, Miss Chappell Roan, we talked about her last week. I mean, we talk about her every week, let's be real. But last week we were talking a lot about the boundaries that she is setting with her fans. So she has been saying how she doesn't like being stalked, which, not a crazy thing to say. She doesn't like being screamed at on the street. She's having this issue where fans are overstepping their boundaries, and she's opening this conversation for a lot of people, and there's some really good takes on it and some really terrible takes on it. But she took to Instagram this past week and she said that she wants to throw fucking parties for gay people on stage. That's my favorite part of this. I want people to feel safe on my shows and feel like a community, and I want to feel that way too. I love you, and love is not transactional, and I think you know that. Thank you for your support. This has nothing to do with that. So I think this is really her trying to like nip this conversation in the butt because it has gone so haywire, and I don't think she expected it to pick up the way that it did and like the backlash that she got. I will say I'm seeing a lot more people come around and being more supportive. If you listen to last week's episode, I was saying how I don't think she's wrong for this at all. I don't think there's anything wrong with setting this boundary. And we don't really see pop stars doing this, or really any celebrity doing it to this level and like publicly saying it. Obviously, people are always like cursing out paparazzi and like asking people to like, they're saying no to a photo and things like that. And I think what's most jarring about Chappell making these statements is that she's doing it on TikTok, on social media, and like obviously that can reach the entire world when you do it that way. And I just think it's like not something that people are used to in this sense, but you have to remember, like, think about Taylor Swift in 20, what was it, like 2016, 2017. We didn't see her for years. She was getting carried in and out of her building in a suitcase. Like, she completely went off the grid because of the way she was being, like, perceived by the media, the way fans were treating her, the way she was literally being stalked. People were showing up to her house. It, like, there was just, like, a lot of this same behavior, and Taylor ended up not making anything public until she released her album, obviously with Reputation. But like, this is kind of that same feeling where like people are saying like, oh, she doesn't appreciate her fans, she's being so bitchy, she's being so rude, but she's really just like trying to like claim her boundaries and like tell people like this isn't okay, the way that like we treat people and celebrities and like we expect so much from them. I feel like I said it last week, but they give us their art and our support back. I feel like that's the transaction right there. It has to be like there has to be some type of limit. And I think people, especially with social media and like being able to find out so much about people, I think, and I'm repeating myself from last week, so I apologize, but we're gonna nip it in the butt in a second. But I just think like her like doubling down and really being like, hey, I didn't mean any harm by this. I'm telling you, like, I am so grateful for your support. She has a whole second layer, like, I feel like it's like a fourth leg of her tour and festivals coming up. Like, clearly she loves doing this, and this is like her calling in life. But I do think, like, there's got to be some type of new conversation around pop stars and like what goes on with the way fans treat them. I don't know. Like I said, we're going to nip this in the bud, but I just wanted to, carry that over into this week and, update all of my gorgeous listeners on what's going on with our current fave, Miss Chappell Roan. Switching gears to something very, very sad, I will say. And I don't love to report sad news, but this felt like big pop culture news that needed to be discussed, just with like all of the like intentions, I guess, behind it. But if you did not see, Mariah Carey has reported that she lost both her mom and her sister over the weekend on the same day. She put out a statement with People magazine and she said, "My heart is broken that I've lost my mother this past weekend. Sadly, in a tragic turn of events, my sister lost her life on the same day. I feel blessed that I was able to spend that last week with my mom before she passed, and I appreciate everybody's love and support and respect for my privacy during this impossible time." Now, the reason I want to talk about this is not obviously to talk about dead people, because that's not something I enjoy talking about. But if you did not know, she had a very rocky relationship with both her mom and her sister. She has two sisters. I believe there's only two other sisters. Unfortunately, the one who passed, and then she has another sister. Very rocky relationships with all of them. Her and her mom have obviously built up their relationship and were in a better place before she passed, thankfully. But her and her sister were definitely not on the best of terms. Back in 2020, I believe it was, she released a memoir, Mariah, and she described her relationship with her mom as a prickly rope of pride, pain, shame, gratitude, jealousy, admiration, and disappointment, which, putting those words in a sentence is just like, those are not words that you always put together, like pride, pain, shame. Like, those are a lot of things that just like, you usually don't find them in the same sentence together. So for her to like talk about that relationship with her mom, and she did dedicate her memoir back in 2020 to her mom, so clearly they had mended things to an extent. And like I said, did get to spend the weekend or the week leading up to her passing with her, like they were together, which is obviously best case scenario, unfortunately, to like even say that. But on the other hand, like I said, her sister also passed away, and they have had such a rocky relationship their entire lives. Mariah said things about her trying to drug her, trying to like pimp her out growing up, trying to like get her drunk when she was 12, and like all this stuff. I think they were like 8 to 10 years apart. So obviously her older sister was not in the best crowd, and she dealt with a lot of like substance abuse and things like that. And I just always remember hearing about their relationship and it just like not being great. I'm also from Long Island, so I feel like I always heard a lot about her sister because she was still living on Long Island, and she was always kind of like getting mixed up in the wrong crowds and things like that. And it had to be tough, I'm sure, like being Mariah Carey's sister and like dealing with all of this and not having her sister around. I know her and the other sister, they tried to sue Mariah, I believe, for like defamation of character and like all these things because of the things that she wrote about them in her book. Actually, I'm not sure how that case went. I should look into that. I didn't do my homework, but I remember there was some lawsuit after the book came out, I'm pretty sure, of saying like she was intentionally trying to like paint them in a bad light and things like that. I also know that Allison, the sister who passed, sued her mother, I want to say in like 2021, maybe 2020, for like child abuse. So clearly the whole family definitely had like a rocky past. And in any situation, even if you're not on the best terms with your family, like this is obviously it's not something you want to ever happen. Like it's very sad and like to have two people pass away in the same week, in the same day, let alone like just very sad. And I when I was putting the stories together for this week, I was like, I don't really want to talk about something sad, but my job here on this podcast is to report pop culture news to you, and this just felt like something I needed to, make sure everybody was up to date on. And sometimes pop culture news is sad, but we're gonna flip the script, we're gonna change things up, and we're gonna talk about Zoe Kravitz and Channing Tatum playing with puppies. If you did not see, they are on their Blink Twice press tour right now. So it is Zoe Kravitz director debut, and then they are obviously starring in it, and they have been on a killer press tour, just like knocking it out of the park. And I'm obsessed. I love it. They did the puppy interview with BuzzFeed. They did like a version of Hot Ones with one of their co-stars in the movie. I know they were doing like Cosmo and like the UK Cosmo interviews. Like they were hitting every single press junket possible. And I just thought it was like they're just doing such a killer job. They're such a cool couple. And before, when I was recording the episode, I was saying like I remember when Channing Tatum and Jenna Dewan split, and it was like they were a couple that everybody thought was going to be like endgame, especially after like their lip sync battle episode and like all of that. Like they were just like one of those couples that were like they're good, they're golden. So when they split, I remember being like, ooh, they were one of those couples that like it kind of hurt. I did it, not that it was like anything personally tied to them. They don't really affect me day to day, but I was just like, ooh, that kind of stings. It's like, I don't know, they were just one of those couples. But then when Channing and Zoe ended up getting together, I was like, wait, this is a couple that kind of like overturned, the heartbreak of the last one. So just happy to see them thriving and doing their thing. They're kind of private. We don't really see them that often, and when we do, it's like very, they share very little, which is definitely, a good thing, especially thinking about this story about Chappell Roan and like all that going on. Like it's nice when you're able to kind of have that boundary and live your life a little privately. But we've been seeing a lot of them lately, and I just wanted to, give them a pat on the back for this killer press tour. They also are killing it in a sense of like completely doing the opposite of It Ends With Us, where if you remember a few weeks ago when I was talking about It Ends With Us and like the crazy drama and lore behind all of that, where they were Blake Lively was like, oh, go see this movie with your girlfriend and wear your best floral dress and blah blah blah, when it's fully a movie about domestic violence. They ended up releasing a trigger warning this week for this movie. So I want to say the movie came out on like Friday, give or take, whatever, sometime last week. The day that the movie came out, on all of their social channels, they posted this trigger warning. And they said, we are proud to finally share Blink Twice with audiences in theaters worldwide this week. Blink Twice is a psychological thriller about the abuse of power. While this is a fictionalized movie, it contains mature themes and depictions of violence, including sexual violence. This may be upsetting or triggering for some viewers. For resources that offer support, visit blinktwiceresources.com. And this is just like a masterclass in how you release a movie about any type of triggering subject. Like and I'm looking directly at you, Blake Lively and Colleen Hoover. They're addressing the fact that, hey, this is what the movie's about. Here is exactly what happened. It can be triggering. Just know about this going in. I don't know if there's a trigger warning on the actual movie before you go in, but I'm sure most of the people going to see this movie are at least researching it before, like saw this trigger warning, and at least they put it out to cover their bases. So I just thought, especially like knowing that Zoe Kravitz and Blake Lively are so close in Taylor Circle, so I'm sure that they're around each other to an extent, if not, one to two, maybe multiple times a year. I don't really know their in and outs, but definitely just seeing like the contrast between Blake's press tour and press junket and now Zoe and Channing doing this like killer press junket. I just needed to give them their 10s because they knocked it out of the park with this press tour. I don't kind of know if I'm going to see the movie. It does look really good. I've heard really good things about it, and I definitely would go see it. But life is busy, your boy is trying to, just get day by day. So we will see. I definitely do want to see it. Maybe it'll be like when it goes to streaming. But that being said, moving right along and just some more uplifting news. Like I said, we're going to flip the script and keep talking about positive things. We've got some baby fever going on, and not just any baby fever, baby Bieber fever. If you did not see somehow, Justin and Hailey Bieber have welcomed their son to the world. His name is Jack Blues. They shared a picture on Instagram over the weekend. It was a little foot. So cute. I feel like this is a couple that a lot of the times when they're in the headlines, it's unfortunately tied to drama and not necessarily things that they do themselves. Is kind of like fans really like ripping them apart. And obviously I have to bring up Selena in all of it. Like there's just always some type of like negativity surrounding the two of them. And it's nice to see, a positive spin on this and see, they gave birth and the baby's healthy and they're home and they're good to go. And just like it's nice to see them not arguing with Selena Gomez on TikTok for once, and they're, enjoying their time with the baby. Like it was just like a nice little positive spin on this couple that I feel like they deserve. It's, they definitely get a shitty end of the stick sometimes, and I'm indifferent. I don't love them. I don't hate them. I'm just like, they're there. They do their thing. They exist. I exist. It is what it is. But obviously, Justin Bieber becoming a dad is like major pop culture news, so it would be wrong if I didn't talk about it. And on the topic of baby fever, Leah Michelle has become a girl mom. Now, if you don't know, I was a major Gleek. I loved Glee. Glee was like my personality trait growing up, and I still love it. I saw Leah in Funny Girl. Like Glee runs deep in these veins, so anything about the Glee cast that's not, somebody dying, because that seems to be a common theme, I like to talk about it. And so Leah Michelle and her husband Zandy have welcomed their baby girl Emery over the weekend. They shared a picture on Instagram saying, "Our hearts are so full," with her full name. And I just can't help but notice that like normal celebrity baby names are kind of back. I feel like in the early 2000s, the early 2010s, we were getting these weird zany names. But like, tell me you don't remember where you were when you found out that Gwyneth Paltrow and Chris Martin named their baby Apple. Because I remember so distinctly standing in a grocery store aisle and looking at like the Hollywood Reporter or one of those like trashy tabloids, and like plastered across the front cover was Gwyneth and Chris named their child Apple. Like it was the biggest news. And I think we've kind of like run the course of like weird celebrity baby names, and we're getting to a point where it's like, oh, Hailey Bieber just named her kid Jack. She's, and it's this like so cool girl of her. You know what I mean? Like it's so like, of course Hailey Bieber and Justin Bieber, two of the biggest people in Hollywood, go such a normal route with their baby name. Like it's just like it makes sense. You know what I mean? And I just feel like maybe we're out of that weird like that weird space where people were just like picking random pieces of fruit or like things in nature or colors and being like, that's my baby name. Like she's like my niece, my little sister. But like Blue Ivy, like that was a jarring one. Blanket was weird. Michael Jackson's kid's name. River Rose, Kelly Clarkson's kid, was a weird one, but I feel like River was kind of like not as weird. I don't know. I just this it's nice to see some like normal baby names and things that are just like actually names and not just like a hobby or an item or a body of water. So just, love to see it. Congratulations to these people. Moving right along into our Drew releases. Just, I don't know. I'm like, I feel like because I recorded all this already, I'm like having deja vu and having like a weird out of body experience of like, wait, did I talk about this already? I already told them this. I'm having a weird moment, but we're gonna, nevertheless, he persisted. Talking about some music, our Drew Releases segment, like I said, we have some music tidbits that I just wanted to cover. Just some quick little shout outs, and make sure, I give my tens where they deserve, which is what I'm here to do. Shabuzi, he is just having a killer year. Obviously, the collab with Beyonce was major. He became the second Black artist in history, only behind Beyonce, to have a number one on the Billboard. And he just became the longest running number one hit on the Billboard Hot 100 this year, or yeah, this year, with Bar Song, which is like everyone's loving it. I'm sure you've heard it if you don't even realize that's his song. It is everywhere. He just hit 7 weeks at number one on the Billboard charts. And the most important part of this to me is the fact that he defeated the evil that is Morgan Wallen. Morgan Wallen and Post Malone had the longest running number one before that with the song I Had Some Help. Now, I love Post Malone, but Morgan Wallen can choke. So obviously to see anybody, over overcoming Morgan Wallen and defeating the evil. I will celebrate that till the day I die. So congratulations, Shabuzi. Keep it up. And some other quick music news before we get into our releases from last week. Halsey has finally given us a better look into her album, and I am so excited. She announced today with a trailer that was like incredibly done that her upcoming album is going to be called The Great Impersonator, and it's a concept album that is going through if she was to debut in different decades. So she's saying like, I debuted in 2016 as Halsey, but what if I debuted in the early 2000s? What if I debuted in the 90s? What about the 80s, the 60s, going back through all these decades? So the album was going to be a collection of songs that are sounding like the music that came out in those decades, which I think is genius. Obviously, with Lucky, that was so Y2K vibes. And then the new song that just came out last week, it is slipping my mind. Lonely as a Muse, I believe it was called, was very like 90s rock, kind of like grunge vibe. And so she previewed a few songs in the trailer and they all sound so different, but in this concept and like body of work, it is going to be chef's kiss. This is a genius concept for an album. I am so excited for this. I was saying last week how I didn't really know where Halsey was going to go with this new era because the songs were sounding very different and like completely contrasting of each other, but she is using this as is it a I believe the word was like a confessional concept album. So she's going to be talking a lot about her life. Obviously, the lead single was so sad, talking about her diagnosis and everything going on with that. So we're going to learn a lot about Halsey, and she's also going to really flex her genre muscle, I feel like, and give us a little taste of everything. And I am so excited. This is a genius concept. 10 out of 10. I am so excited for this album. She did say she's going to give us some more info next week about the actual album. So I will update you guys as we go. She is performing at the VMAs in 2 weeks. So very excited to see what she does with that. And I'm so excited. That being said, let's move on to the releases that we had last week because they are going to bleed perfectly into our main segment, one of our two main segments of the show. But before that, Ariana Grande is celebrating the 10-year anniversary of My Everything, which makes me feel ancient. I remember listening to this album in my first car. I had the CD, I still have it, it's under my bed somewhere, listening to this CD on repeat, blowing out the speakers in my car, blasting this album. And the fact that it is 10 years old makes me feel like it is time to look into life insurance because that is insane. And this album, I've been listening to it a lot this week because she re-released it as like a 10-year celebration. This album has hits and they just get better with age. I mean, Be My Baby, Break Your Heart Right Back, One Last Time, Best Mistake, Break Free, Prob. Like, this album has bangers and it is so good. And the fact that it is 10 years old, my God. But on top of re-releasing it and just celebrating this incredible body of work, she released two new songs, which if you are deep in Ariana Stan Twitter, these are not new to you. They've been floating around the internet for a while, but she finally released Cadillac Song and Too Close to Streaming, which they were just two I think they were just like album cuts that got like cut from the album and somehow popped up on the internet as everything else Ariana does, unfortunately. So she finally released them. Just exciting to like see an artist celebrating these albums and like these milestones in a career. I thought she did such a good job last year when she was celebrating the 10-year anniversary of Yours Truly. So I figured she would do something really, monumental for this one. And then it just gets me so excited to think about the fact that Dangerous Woman is her next album to hit this milestone. Dangerous Woman was one of my favorite albums of 2016. So whatever she has in store for that 10-year anniversary, sign me up now. I am ready. I am seated. But for now, I will be happily celebrating the 10-year anniversary of My Everything because that album is everything. And now getting in to the nitty gritty. So I just want to preface, we are obviously going to talk about Sabrina Carpenter's Short and Sweet. Now, I love this album so much. It has quickly gone to my top five, maybe even top three of the year. I think this album is perfect from start to finish. That being said, I am going to release a second episode this week, an entire Drew Releases album breakdown where I'm going to go track by track, breaking down the lyrics, breaking down the production, just talking about how much I love this album, how incredible it is. But obviously, I couldn't not talk about it this week. So I'm going to give you like the TLDR of this album, what I'm thinking, my favorites, and then we're going to do a deep dive on some drama, which I feel like I don't usually do. I'm not really like a drama podcast for anybody listening for the first time, but The timeline between Shawn, Camila, and Sabrina is insane. And I just thought it would be fun to kind of like look into it a little bit and, just dive into it. And we will go even further into all these lyrics and things like that on the episode. I'm going to record it this weekend. I'm aiming for a Monday release, so don't hold me to that, but I think I should be able to do it Sunday and then drop it on Monday. So you will get a second episode this week. You will hear from me before next week. Get excited. I am so excited to sit down and just like deep dive this album because it is fantastic. First and foremost, we have to talk about the fact that she is literally replacing herself on pretty much every chart. She like replaced herself on the iTunes chart. She's taking over the entire top song chart on Spotify, both global and US. Like she is just everywhere. People are eating this up and it's what she deserves. She has had the 17th biggest debut in Spotify history, which is insane. That is like to think of every single album that's ever debuted and to be number 17, that is nuts. It is what she deserves. And I thought it would be fun to kind of just look at her debut numbers in the past and just like the jumps they're insane. So Singular Act 1 debuted with 130,000 streams. Singular Act 2 debuted with 1.3 million. Fruitcake, her Christmas EP, debuted with 2.2 million. Emails I Can't Send was 3.3 million. So going up like a million every year, every album, which is, very admirable to begin with. But from Emails I Can't Send debuting with 3.3, Short and Sweet debuted with 58 million streams. That is such an insane jump. That is crazy. And they're only 2 years, maybe 3 years apart. 2 years apart, I want to say. Like, it's not that crazy of a jump. So that is just, it is incredible. There is nothing short about that jump. It is quite long, if you ask, but it is so sweet. I love to see it. It is what she deserves. I just love to see it. She is projected to go number one, and I can't wait to see what this era unfolds for us. The tour is kicking off soon. I cannot wait to go. Now we're gonna go through, like I said, I'm gonna do an entire episode dedicated to this album because I love it that much. I actually decided I'm gonna start batch filming a bunch of Drew Releases episodes, which if you don't know, those are my episodes where I go track by track of an album. I'm gonna do older albums that came out this year that I missed. Like there's some albums that I really want to deep dive into. So I'm gonna start recording those in the next few weeks just to have as like backup episodes and like batched content. So I have some episodes in mind. I have some guests that I want to bring on to do it. But if you have any albums that you think would be a good Drew Release album to cover or something that you want to hear me go more in depth on, let me know. Shoot me a DM, leave me a comment on any of, my socials. I would love to know what you guys would like to hear. I have a lot of really fun and like monumental albums this year and also just like albums that I love from the past that I would like to do. But if there's anything you guys want to hear specifically, let me know because I'm always open to, exploring other episode ideas and things like that. And I want to, obviously give the people what they want. So let me know if there's any albums that you want. Like I said, I do have a few on my roster. Brat, obviously, I want to do Eternal Sunshine. I have a few that I want to do, but let me know if there's anything else. Like I said, we're going to do a full deep dive on Short and Sweet this weekend because I have to do it. But I don't want to, leave you guys hanging. So I'm going to give you guys my top five from the album. I had to like count really quick. My top five and just a few little tidbits of it. And then we're going to go into the Sabrina and Camila and Shawn of it all. And then, we'll go from there. But Good Graces is one of the best pop songs I have ever heard in my entire life. I literally had three different people tell me I'm going to love Good Graces before I listened to it, and they were all right. It's one of the best songs I've ever heard. I like all week long, all I hear in my head is I won't give a fuck about you. Like it is the hook is good, the beat is good. There's these rumors of an Ariana Grande remix, which if we get a Sabrina and Ariana collab and it's a remix of Good Graces, which is already in my book a perfect pop song, if they add Ariana to this, I will be passing away. It will be too pop to handle. Like that is so crazy to think about. There are some signs pointing to it. Ariana has been very interactive with Sabrina's content. They followed each other. Team Sabrina commented on somebody saying like they were like alluding to a remix and they put like the thinking face. Again, I'm getting ahead of myself because there's no confirmation, but like just know if we get a Good Graces remix with Ariana, my God, it'll be two most wanted level, I think. Maybe not quite two most wanted, but it'll be up there with like Girl So Confusing featuring Lord. It'll be one of those. It will be too pop to handle, and God, I can't. Let's move on because my God, the next song, Juno. I love Juno, the movie. It is one of my favorite movies of all time. I have the DVD sitting on, I have a shelf of like all my favorite DVDs in my living room, and that is one of them. I am so happy that somebody is finally putting some respect on this perfect piece of media. And just, Sabrina did it in a perfect way. That bitch is so horny and she is ready to go down, well, I guess literally go down, but also just like get down with anyone. And I'm obsessed. I love it. Juno, another perfect pop song. It is incredible. I fucking love it. The next song comes with a little bit of baggage, and it really, really pains me to say, but you guys know how much I loved Barry and Sabrina, and it does seem that they have broken up. And it definitely hurts. But I think having this album while the news broke, it kind of like it was like a cushion, to the fall. And though I am hurting inside because they were my favorite celebrity couple at the moment, this album is filling that void for me right now. But Bedchem is clearly about Barry, right? She literally says, like, who's that guy with a thick accent and the white jacket, talking about the sheer dress that she wore. There was those pictures of them, like that first event that they met at, or like they alluded to meet at. I'm going to go deeper into detail again on the episode. I'm sorry I'm like blue balling you guys, but listen to the episode. I have so much to say about this album, and I'm going to leave it all on the mic this weekend. But this Bedchem track is so good. I love the lyrics. The whole little bit she does about like, come ride on me. I mean, camaraderie. That whole little bit, like her lyrics are so incredible. She is so funny, so smart. Shakespeare could never do what Sabrina Carpenter did on Bedchem. Sue me. I love this track. It is incredible. My fourth favorite song, which is kind of an unpopular opinion to a lot of people that I've seen, Don't Smile, is so good. I'm seeing a lot of people putting it as their last on their ranking, which just feels incredibly wrong to me. I think that it's a beautifully written song. I think it is a perfect way to end the album. I can't get enough. I cannot get enough of this album. My God. And then the last track that we're going to talk about in this ranking, we're going to go into a few lyrics in the whole breakdown of the timeline, but Taste. I mean, obviously, it's the single that came out with the album. It is everywhere. It is incredible. It is so fucking good. First and foremost, opening the album with I Leave Quite an Impression, 5 feet to be exact. I don't, something about that is just, it is perfect. I love it. It is such a great way to open the album. And we're going to go more into it. I'm sorry I keep blue balling you guys, but we need to talk about this music video. Having Jenna Ortega in it is genius. She is such an it girl at the moment. Beetlejuice 2 is coming out. Like, having Jenna in it is the most genius thing to do because she is just so buzzy right now. But on top of that, it is a completely horror inspired music video. So having her in that just makes more sense. And not to mention, she looks a lot like Camila Cabello, who this song is alluded to be about. Hold that thought, we're going to get into it. But the fact that this music video references so many iconic horror movies, Death Becomes Her, Ginger Snap, Kill Bill, Psycho, Addams Family Values, like they had their references on point and they did it in such a perfect way. I thought it was a perfectly executed music video. It got the point of the song across in such a fun and unique way. This is like this is what I want when I want a music video. I want a concept, I want references, I want a full thought out production. Give me star quality, give me like just they gave me everything I could have asked for in a music video. It was incredible. I loved it. And like I said, we are going to get more into it this weekend, but I want to get into this whole Shawn, Camila, Sabrina timeline because though I know that there was like, some overlap things going on, I didn't realize like what was going on so in depth. And when I was realizing like all the little things that were happening and stuff that was going on, I was like, this is Shady Boot. So I thought it would be fun. And we just kind of like took it from the top and went down. And we're going to go into some lyrics that kind of tie back into it. And this is more getting into like the main point of the show of just like Sabrina Carpenter is always going to end up on top. Let's get into it. So obviously, Shawn and Camila, they have their history, they go back and forth to each other. And then along comes this gorgeous little blonde bombshell, Sabrina Carpenter. So this all started back in like January of 2023. Shawn posted a picture while he was in a hotel in Paris, which, okay, cool. He was in Paris. Great. Sabrina posted a photo a few days after at the same hotel. Now, no one really knows that they were there together, but I think like the posting in the same hotel just a few days apart is a little like intentional of like, let's not let them know we're here together, but like if they connected, they connected. Dots can be connected. It is what it is. So that was like the first kind of like inkling of it, but I don't think people caught on to it until after the fact because just a few weeks later, there was a Dumois blind item that said they were spotted out clearly on a date. And then a few days later, paparazzi spotted them walking around LA together. So it was kind of just like fueling the fire of those rumors. Few weeks later, this is where I remember coming in and being like, oh wait, are they an item? Because they were seen in March leaving Miley Cyrus's Endless Summer Vacation album release party together. And they did that classic thing where like Shawn walked out first and then Sabrina walked out like a few feet behind them, but they walked out way too close to each other to not be obvious that they were leaving together. Like they were trying to make it a point that like they weren't leaving together, but like they just did it in a very the wrong way to do it. So that kind of started to like solidify that like they were definitely hanging out and like, the wheels were turning, things were happening. And then a few days or maybe like a week or so later, they were seen at the Vanity Fair party together, but they weren't seen together. But they definitely were, like kind of looking back at each other. There's that video of Sabrina and she's giving the interview on the carpet and she keeps like looking over her shoulder and Shawn is behind her. There were reports of them like talking inside, but there were no photos of them. So obviously that's kind of like take it with a grain of salt. These are all things that people just like report. Who knows? But that was another like inkling of it until that night. Camila Cabello shared a photo of herself making one of those like confused faces, like she was like raising an eyebrow. It was the same night as the Vanity Fair party, which again, I don't know if people tied that in real time, but looking back at the dates now, like that had to have been something related to the two of them, right? Like, come on, like, I don't know, very, very weird timing on her part. Few days later, sources, again, there's always these sources. Who are these sources? I don't know. But they confirmed that they were seeing each other. And then fans started to tie together that Shawn had been wearing a necklace with Sabrina's birthstone pretty much nonstop since like January to March. He wore it to the Vanity Fair party. He was like out and about wearing it. So it kind of started to like trickle these rumors into kind of like facts and being like, okay, they definitely are seeing each other. Who knows if they're dating, but they're an item. Shawn went on TRL and he said, no, we are not dating. But he also said that about him and Camila, which, like, I don't believe it. Liza Minnelli. So that is March. Now, come April, Coachella rolls around. And who is Shawn Mendes spotted at Coachella with? But Camila Cabello. So I'm assuming him and Sabrina, something didn't work out. Dare I say their relationship was short and sweet? I don't know. He is spotted at Coachella with Camila. Now, this is kind of fast forwarding a bit, but there was a song on Camila's album, CXOXO, that came out this year called June Gloom. And I did not piece this together. I don't follow Camila Cabello a lot. I did enjoy the album, I will say. I was very surprised to say that I really did like the album. I don't listen to it often, but I thought it was a really solid body of work. But in this song, in June Gloom, she said, she's cool, I heard, won't act surprised, I saw the pictures. And now, obviously, Shawn and Sabrina were seen together back in like February, and that was like not too long after him and Camila had broken up. So there were the paparazzi photos that came out. So, it's kind of alluding to the fact that like she's referring to these photos because I heard she's cool. I saw the pictures. It is what it is. But what is very interesting is the original lyrics to this next part, she said, I know I act like it's whatever, just make me feel better. The truth is, honey, you're all I think about. The original lyrics to that were apparently, are you coming to Coachella? If you don't, it's whatever. But if you do, it'll be all I think about. Which obviously, Shawn and Camila spotted at Coachella together. I don't know when it was written. These original lyrics surfaced online in early 2023, and then this album came out in 2024. So she obviously had some time to, rewrite them and do some things, pull some strings and get some things done. But she shared a snippet or something. Again, I'm not that in on the Camila lore. Like, I don't follow her that closely, but she shared some snippet or like a piece of lyrics, and she mentioned Coachella in the original lyrics, which just kind of like doubled down on the fact that this is referring to that. And now having the information that we have now and the lyric we'll get into on Short and Sweet, it's just like everything is piecing together. So that all happened. Nothing really comes of Shawn and Sabrina from there. And then Camila starts promoting her new album, CXOXO, and people start to realize she literally has blonde hair and bangs, which isn't, nobody has it trademarked, but with the buzziness of the world right now, it's definitely looking a little like Sabrina Carpenter coded. Whether it is or not, who knows? But all of these connections definitely, it's not nothing. You know what I mean? Like this isn't just like a coincidence, I don't think. But that being said, some time goes by and Short and Sweet comes out. The masterpiece of an album that it is. And there's a few lyrics that are definitely a little could be about this, could not be. But the one like we're just going to go through a few of them and just kind of see where they could tie in, where they don't. And like I said, we'll do a full deeper dive on these lyrics this weekend. But for now, I mean, she opens the album with Taste. I mean, the entire premise of the song, the hook is literally, I heard you back together, and if it's true, you'll just have to taste me when he's kissing you. And then she goes on to have the lyric about wondering where his clothes are. They're still on my body. This part gagged me. There are like 4 or 5 different photos of Sabrina Carpenter seen wearing Shawn Mendes' like sweaters and t-shirts and things like that. And there's paparazzi photos of him wearing them like a week or two before she wore them. Clearly, she is making a reference to the fact that she was seen wearing so many of Shawn's clothes. So if Miss Cabello is wondering where they are, they're on her body, which I just think that is such like a ooh, what a cunty little line. I love it. And that was just the beginning of it. We go on through the album to Dumb and Poetic. This line specifically, cherry pick lines like they're words you invented, gold star for your highbrow manipulation, and love everyone is your favorite question. Try to come off like you're soft and well spoken. Jack off to lyrics by Leonard Cohen. So, Leonard Cohen is a Canadian composer, songwriter. Shawn Mendes is also Canadian. And not to mention that Shawn Mendes in the past like year or so did a cover of Hallelujah, which is a song by Leonard Cohen. Now, it is something to mention that this could also be about Joshua Bassett because he's covered him a lot too. But I think, it's maybe like a double entendre. Maybe there's a double meaning there. But again, I don't think it's nothing. And I think the fact that like Shawn just covered him and like this is obviously kind of like leading to all of this like I don't know, 2 plus 2 is 4, and this seems to be adding up. I don't know. The next lyric or song that we're going to talk about is this is like the big one that's like very clearly about the situation, which I'm sure you can imagine it's coincidence. And I mean, these lyrics, let alone, what a surprise, your phone just died. Your car drove itself from LA to her thighs. Palm Springs looks nice, but who's by your side? Damn it, she looks kind of like the girl you outgrew. Palm Springs is where Coachella is. Boom, right there, done. There's no other explanation needed to like what this is about when he was with Sabrina in March. Come April, he's at Coachella with Camila. This I feel like is the most this and Taste are the two that are most like obvious in your face. Like this is about that situation, whether you want to believe it or not. I didn't realize how deep the lore went. Like I didn't realize this was something that like was such a moment for either of them. I could see it more with Camila and Shawn because they have so much history, but like the Sabrina Carpenter of it all, Mama Girl loves a love triangle. Like it is just very much tying back to like Joshua Bassett, Olivia Rodrigo. Now this, I mean, and I hate to even say this, but there was so much drama with like her, Barry, and Barry's ex-wife question mark or like his baby mama. Like she loves a love triangle. And you know what? Good for her. Who cares? Like, one thing about Sabrina Carpenter, she loves to be on top and she loves to come out on top. And clearly she does. She is killing it right now with this album rollout. Whether or not the men end up with her, I don't think that's her end game prize. I think the fact that she can like take these situations, put them into a killer pop song, and now come out with a 58 million stream debut on her album, yeah, Sabrina Carpenter stays on top. Like she is going to win in the long run. And I hate to even like, I mean, literally I'm saying this with Olivia Rodrigo's album cover hanging on my wall behind me. If you're watching the video, if you're not, just imagine Sour in the corner behind me. You can literally see it. I love Olivia. I love Sabrina. But if you were to tell 2020 Andrew that I am riding this hard for Sabrina Carpenter back when all that drama with Olivia came out, I would not believe you. And like at the end of the day, obviously Olivia and Sabrina are both killing it, but like one of them opened for Taylor on the Eras tour after, two of them both being huge fans of Taylor, and one of them completely separated herself from Taylor Swift. So like I don't know, who's really winning? I hate to even say this. It's like hurts me to say, but like Sabrina Carpenter. She loves to be on top, and she continues to be on top. That being said, that is going to wrap up our short and sweet talk for now. We still have some more things to talk about throughout the show, but stay tuned this weekend for my short and sweet Drew releases episode. I am so excited. This album is fantastic. I am loving it, and I am so excited to talk about it more. Go lyric by lyric. You know, I love a production moment, so we are going to talk all about the production. Jack Antonoff is a producer on a lot of these tracks, so trigger warning there, since I know, he's a controversial producer, but in my book, he can never do any wrong. But we're going to move on from one pop girl to another because Charli XCX is on the cover of New York Magazine, and not only is she on the cover, David LaChapelle did the photos, which that alone is just too pop to handle. I mean, he is just such an iconic photographer, and for him and Charli to do this shoot together for the cover of New York Magazine, it was like New York and Vulture, they're like, sister magazines, but regardless, this shoot was killer, and this interview packed a punch. If you did not see the photos, go check them out. They are stunning. I love them. Just the concept and creativity behind them alone is just like incredible. And then we get into the interview, and it is like, whew, there's a lot in here. And just like, I mean, unfortunately, the biggest punch that comes with it is Taylor Swift making a statement about Charli. Obviously, there's been a lot of drama and discourse about like, are Taylor and Charli okay? Are they good? Sympathy is like a knife. Like, what's the tea? What's the drama? And so in this article, they reached out to Taylor and her team. So Tree, whoever made the statement, I don't know, but they did a masterclass in PR. So they go on to say, Taylor Swift praises Charli XCX in New York Magazine, saying, I've been blown away by Charli's melodic sensibility since I first heard Stay Away in 2011. Her writing is surreal and inventive, always. She just takes a song to places you wouldn't expect it to go, and she's been doing it consistently for over a decade. I love to see hard work like that pay off. In today's climate in pop culture, having Taylor Swift make a statement like this for Charli XCX, especially with the Maddie Healy of it all, especially with like the Reputation tour and all of that drama when Charli like said she was performing for 5-year-olds, like there is clearly like, for lack of a better word, bad blood potentially between these two. But after this, I'm like, is there really bad blood? Like, is there anything going on between the two of them? Just like insecurities, maybe. Charli did talk about the fact that like she had these feelings because she was saying, she was like, I knew I could I mean, even in Sympathy is like a knife, like she says, like I could never be her if I tried, like whether it's jealousy, whether it's just like wishing you could be that. Like one thing about Charli, she's very real with her lyrics, and she doesn't like leave a lot up for wondering. Like she's very clear to the point. It's not like she's writing kind of like, she's not writing anything like crazy that you have to like deconstruct. She's literally putting the lyrics to the paper and singing about what she's feeling. So whether or not she's feeling this way isn't the question. It was more so like, who is it about? And I think it's clear to assume that it is about Taylor, and like it's pretty much confirmed. And just like having this statement and like, I don't know, this was major. This was not on my bingo card. Like Taylor Swift making a statement in a New York Magazine article for Charli XCX was not something I saw coming, but I cannot lie, I did love to see it. It just like, I don't know, been some weird headlines and things going on with Taylor lately, especially with like the whole blocking thing. And I'm the first one to say, like, I think it is insane to release so many versions of an album, but I thought making this statement was a genius PR move. Whether she means it or not, putting this out there was 10 out of 10. For Tree Pain doesn't do many things wrong. This is one thing she did absolutely right. But moving on along, because this is about Charli, not Taylor Swift, she goes on to tell New York Magazine that she may release another full-length project soon that is definitely in the Bratosphere, which is so exciting. There was all those rumors about the Brat remix album, and if we know what we were going to get, she confirmed that there's only one more remix left, which who knows? Maybe it's with Taylor Swift. Like, there's so many rumors. There's Britney rumors, there's Taylor rumors, there's Katie rumors. Who knows what song? Who knows what it's with? I'm sure it's going to be great regardless of the song and or artist on it, but there is only one more song left. And she also has the Sweat Tour coming up. So, like, is she going to release something before the tour? What is she going to, like, the fact that she has a whole nother project ready to go, I don't know. Very interesting. And the fact that it's in the Bratosphere, I just love that word. Like, I want to live in the Bratosphere. The Bratosphere is like my location at all times, but also just like keeping that momentum going. It would be so smart to do. I'm very interested. I mean, everybody's releasing this year, so why not release 2 more albums, Charli XCX? Just like keep on this up and up and do your damn thing. This next thing I thought was very interesting because fans are taking it in a way that I was very surprised because I thought that was like a well-known thing, but she was talking about her last album before Brat Crash, and she said it was a sellout main pop girly album. She said, "Do I like singing? Do I want to be singing good ones forever? Personally, no. These songs don't get me off as much." And people are like up in arms. They're like, "Crash is a great album," which it is. Crash is a fantastic album. I love it so much. But she kind of led into it, even with the promo and like the announcement of it, as it kind of being like not a bad girl album, but it was kind of like not a joke, but she was doing it to like please her record label. I think it was like the fifth album in her contract at the time that she had to release. And she had the whole thing where like her record label wasn't allowing her to release the music that she wanted to. If you don't know about XCX World, there's like this third studio album that was never released, but it was like really heavily teased. I believe Good Ones. And there was one other track. I can't think of the song, but there's two tracks that ended up making it to an album that were apparently scrapped from this XCX World album, but we never got it. It was apparently supposed to be like kind of an extension of the Vroom Vroom EP, which is obviously super experimental, and she couldn't release it because the album didn't believe in it. And she ended up releasing this album, Crash, as her final album in this cycle, these five albums that she had to release under her contract. She literally announced this album with a tombstone. Like, I know that a lot of new Charli xcx fans, and like, especially with Brat, she's got a lot of more attention than she did with Crash, but she literally announced this era with her name on a tombstone, essentially saying, like, this is like the death of Charli xcx. Like, it was kind of always the point of that this being like a rebellious album that like she was putting out. It wasn't necessarily the music she wanted to be making, but she was going to like make it to 10 of 10, just like make sure it was a killer album. Was it what she wanted to put out? No, she just literally just said, she was like, I don't really want to be singing these songs forever, but it is what it is. She's even said, she's like, if I had to perform Vroom Vroom or Good Ones, like I obviously would rather pick Vroom Vroom. That's more of the style that she wants. I don't think that was anything shocking. Like, I don't think that was like a secret. I thought that was something that was well known. I guess not. I don't know. They ended up asking her about her relationship with Atlantic Records, and she said that it's tricky. She said, I've always been interpreted as difficult. I have a high standard, and I don't think they're always right. I'm not willing to do something just because they think it's right. They don't know what's best for me and my career, you know? I don't suffer bullshitters, you know? There are a lot of bullshitters in the music industry. There really, really are. And I think with Crash, like it was, like I said, the fifth and final album in that contract, and she just wanted to put something out, really just like I think put in their face, like, okay, you want a pop album? Take a pop album. Here it is, run with it. And she just promoted it in this way that it was like not the death of Charli XCX because her career obviously wasn't ending, but just like the end of that era with them. And then here she is now releasing Brat 2 years later and just like having this moment where she's releasing music that she's always wanted to release. And it is just like killing it in a way that no other project of hers has ever done. And it just has to be like the biggest, like, punch in the face and fuck you. One of my favorite stories in the music industry is like when a record label drops somebody and then they end up getting re-signed and like having their moment doing what they really feel inspired by. Chappell Roan, look at her. I know Olivia Rodrigo, like when she was shopping around for record labels, a lot of people said no, like she wasn't getting signed easily at first, and then finally she got signed, and her first single being Driver's License. Like so many stories like that where like artists don't get signed or they get dropped or they like aren't trusted with their like creative outlets, and then when they're finally able to creatively express themselves, they kill it because again, it's so cheesy, but like being your authentic self and knowing what you want to put out and like putting your all into it is always going to sell better than trying to fit a mold and trying to do something that's so cookie cutter pop star. And no, Crash is like a perfect pop album. It was definitely a turn for Charli, and like I've been listening to Charli for years. She's definitely gone through so many different sounds whether she wanted to or not, but I think like the backlash that she's getting from making that statement about Crash being like I don't want to, misquote this, a sellout main pop girly album. Like, I really thought we all knew that and like we're all on the same page. I don't know. It was definitely shocking to see the way that people are like completely jarred by this fact when I thought it was like a well-known thing, but I guess what do I know? And the final little piece about Charli, I thought this was so funny when her and the interviewer were going to sit down for this interview in the cafe. Lord was literally in there and they ran into each other before the interview, and they obviously just said hi to each other really quick. And Charli said that the remix definitely brought them closer together, not to be cheesy, but like how serendipitous is that like Lord was sitting in the cafe when they walked in to do this interview. I love that. That wraps up our Charli XCX talk of the day. No TV recap this week. I haven't watched really anything, but I'm gearing up for a very busy fall. Only Murders in the Building did come out today, season 4. I'm so excited. I love this show, so I'm very excited. I'm not going to recap that every week, I don't think, because again, I really just try to recap reality TV, but I will be watching. So if anybody wants to chat about it, shoot me a DM, tweet me, let's talk about it, because I am so excited for this season. And if I feel like doing it, maybe I will recap it, but we'll see. For now, it's not on my radar. I try to do more reality show recaps, but it is back today. I am so excited to watch. And that brings us to the final segment of the episode. We have made it to my yes and my mess of the week. My yes being something I'm loving, and my mess being something I am not loving. We always start out on a high note, so let's kick it off with my yes. There was a Bimbo Summit reunion, kind of. So Paris Hilton was on a Talk Shop Live sometime last week talking about, I guess, just promoting her album and everything coming up with that. And she was asked about Britney Spears. And she revealed that sometimes Britney will go over to her house and hang out. She loves to hang out with the kids and, see the baby, which just knowing that Britney and Paris are hanging out together just warms something in my Y2K lover heart. You guys know, like, that is like one of my sweet spots of pop culture. And when I saw that Paris and Britney had seen each other and Britney's met her kids and they've hung out, she even said that Britney's heard the album and she loves it. Her favorite tracks are Chastened featuring Megan Trainor and I'm Free featuring Rina Sawayama. It's just, this is like a story that just warms my heart to know that, like, especially like the Bimbo Summit, the three of them, Lindsay, Brittany, and Paris, went through so much together and so much negativity. And like, they definitely were not always on the best of terms. To see them all now grown up and like, obviously putting like any differences aside, it just warms my heart. And on top of Brittany and Paris hanging out together, we also did find out that Paris and Lindsay reconnected at the Oscars Vanity Fair party earlier this year. Paris said it was so good to see her. She looks beautiful, and I'm so happy for her. And again, just like the three of these women, obviously it's unfortunate where Britney's at with everything going on, but like the three of these women have gone through it, whether it's like things they did to themselves or things the media did to them, and to see the three of them specifically like rekindling in some form, it just makes me so happy. You guys know Lindsay's like my girl, and the three of them are just like such pillars in pop culture to me. So when I saw this, I was like, this is the type of content that I want to see. Anything related to the Bimbo Summit is something up my alley. This warmed my heart. I love to see Lindsay Lohan, Paris Hilton, and Britney Spears winning. This was just incredible. I loved it. Now, switching over to my mess for the week, Brittany Mahomes. Now, if you did not see, Brittany was getting some backlash because she liked a post about Donald Trump. And I am all for holding people accountable and being like, why did you like that? It's not so much her liking the post that I was like, ugh, why are you liking this? Like, people like things all the time. It is what it is. Her statement about it was just so lame and lackluster. She said, to be a hater as an adult, you have to have some deep-rooted issues you refuse to heal from childhood. And like, me talking about this, does it make me a hater? I don't think it makes me a hater, but like, I'm definitely not hating. And it also obviously opens up the conversation of like the people she surrounds herself with. Like, clearly her and Taylor are very close, but they're only close because of Travis and the Chiefs of it all. And then it just starts to like, make you wonder certain things. And I just think like her making the statement and being like, you guys are being haters, you must have some deep rooted unsolved things from your childhood. Like, it's not being a hater as much as just like holding somebody accountable and being like, hey, could you just explain why you like that? I think if she would have been like, hey, I like this post because of XYZ, obviously if she came out clear as a Trump supporter, she would have gotten backlash. But I think at least stand your ground. Like, if you're gonna be a shitty person, commit to the bit. Don't try to like cover yourself with this like PR statement and like, if you're gonna be a hater, but like, girl, just like either own up to it or, be like, hey, I liked it, just like in a doom scroll. No matter the case, this was not the way. This was not the way to explain it, or like, I don't know. It just was very strange to me, and I didn't love the, what it implies from there. But I'm not going to go further into that because I don't believe that that is true, and I'm not even going to say what I think. It is because I don't want to, plant the seed anywhere and have it bite me in the ass. But that being said, we have made it to the end of the show. Thank you guys so much for listening to this week's episode of Too Pop to Handle. Again, I apologize for the abrupt intro. Like I said, I recorded for 40 minutes and then it deleted the entire episode, so I was just ready to jump into it. If you made it this far in the episode, thank you so much. Make sure you leave me a 5-star rating. Give me a thumbs up if you're watching us on YouTube. Hit that subscribe button. Leave me a comment. And like I said, this is not the last time you're going to hear from me before next week's episode. I will be releasing a second episode all about short and sweet this upcoming weekend, so make sure you're tuned in for that. Make sure you're following me on socials. We are at 2popthehandle on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. I am at Andrew Nucatola if you want to follow any of my personals. Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, you name it. I am yapping. I am there. And with that, I will catch you guys next week. Bye.